الأنبياء والمرسلين سيدنا ونبينا وحبيبنا وقدوتنا ومولانا محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله تعالى وبركاته. Respected brothers and sisters in Islam, firstly thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah granted us once again the tawfiq and the ability to perform our Maghrieb Salaah with Jama'ah. Alhamdulillah. Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "Man alif al-bayt alifahullah," that indeed the person who loves the house of Allah, in return Allah will love the person. So we make dua, Allah grant us to be of those servants who will be beloved to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala because of our love for the Masajid. Ameen Rabbil Alameen. Beloved brothers and sisters in Islam, last week we have discussed the chapter where Imam Suyuti rahimahullah speaks about how the Anbiya, mentions firstly how the Anbiya of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they in the qubur, in the grave, some of them are engaged in salah. And how some of the awliya, the friends of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, how they made dua and how they wished and made dua every moment and asked people to make dua that Allah must make them from those who also perform ibadah in the graves. And some, after these awliya passed away, some of the students have actually seen in dreams that they are performing salah in the graves. And as we have mentioned, the ulama mentioned, this was not to receive and increase reward, but this was done because of the enjoyment they experienced when engaged in the ibadah of Allah. And we have mentioned like how we look forward, for example, to our grave. We make dua, Allah must grant our grave to be a garden of Jannah. We make dua, Allah must grant our grave to be vast and wide. These awliya of Allah make dua, Allah grant my grave a place where I can carry on with the worship of Allah. Make my grave a place where I can carry on with the tilawah of Quran. There's many stories narrated where some graves were exposed and they found someone sitting in it reciting the Quran, the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Where people dreamt of the teachers and the awliya of Allah reciting Quran in the graves. So these people yearned and they made dua, Allah must grant the grave to be a place where they even carry on with the worship of Allah. And this evening, Imam Suyuti rahimahullah, he speaks also about a very important topic regarding the deceased, and that is al-amru bi tahsin al-akfan, that the matter regarding when we shroud our deceased, when we put the kafan on them, we should beautify it according to the sunnah of Rasulullah. We should take special care when we shroud and when we make the ghusl of our deceased. Imam Suyuti rahimahullah brings a hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu when Nabi sallallahu sallam says, "Ahsinu akfana mawtakum fa innahum يتباهون ويتزاورون في قبورهم." Firstly, he mentions the hadith of Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Rather, Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam says, "إذا ولي أحدكم أخاه فليحسن كفنه." When any of you are responsible for taking care of his deceased brother, Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam command him that you should beautify and you should shroud him, you should wrap him in kafan, the ghusl, everything. You should do it in the best way possible. You should do it in the best way possible. And what is meant, the ulama mentioned, what is meant by beautifying the kafan? What is meant by beautifying the kafan, the ulama mentioned, is that it should be, preferably should be white. When the rafa, it should be clean. It should be enough. It should be spacious, wide enough. It should be long enough for the person. This is meant, it doesn't mean that it should be expensive kafan. And this the ulama mentioned the point because Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam mentioned the hadith that do not be extreme or excessive in terms of the kafan. Do not be extreme and excessive in terms of how you spend in terms of shrouding the deceased with kafan. So we should make sure that the kafan is clean, the kafan is big enough, and we should beautify the kafan with perfume and oils. Is what is done. Normally we use the camphor and we use the attar and the rose oil when washing and when shrouding the deceased. And then Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Imam Suyuti rahimahullah again mentions why we should take special care in beautifying the kafan of the deceased. The hadith of Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam narrated by Imam al-Tirmidhi and Ibn Majah rahimahullah, عن أبي قتادة رضي الله عنه قال رسول صلى الله عليه وسلم إذا ولي أحدكم أخاه فليحسن كفنه. That when any of you are taking care of your deceased brother, you should beautify his kafan. فإنهم يتزاورون في قبورهم. Why? Because they will visit one another in the graves. The righteous servants of Allah, Allah gives them the ability to visit one another in the grave. So beautify the kafan, make them look presentable, says Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And under the chapter, Imam Suyuti rahimahullah brings a beautiful narration or a story of a qissa that happened at the time of Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam. وأن رجل توفيت امرأته فرأى نساء في المنام ولم يرى امرأته معه. He says in the time of Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam there was one lady who passed away, and the husband buried her. In the evening he had a dream that he saw a group of ladies that also deceased. He saw this group of ladies in his dream, but he doesn't see his wife. So he asked them that, where's my wife? Because she passed away yesterday and we buried her. Did you see my wife? And then they responded and they said, no, your wife is shy to come out. Why? Because the coffin you used for was too short. Imagine the deceased says she is shy to come out with the other arwah. Why? Because the coffin they used for her was a bit too short. She feels shy. If the story is mentioned. And then this person went to Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. فأخبره فقال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم. He informed Rasul about this dream that he had. Rasul sallam told him that, do you know anyone who's righteous that is sick that is going to pass away? Do you anyone that is righteous who is going to pass away, who was honest and trustworthy in this dunya while he was alive? And he says, Ya Rasulullah, there's an Ansari who is going to pass away. There's an Ansari person who is very sick, he's on his last. And Rasul instructed him to take and buy a new coffin. Buy a new coffin. And this coffin that he bought was a bit colored with saffron color. And Rasul says, go to this deceased person, ask the family. And Rasul went with him and asked the family that, can we place this coffin into this deceased? When they shroud this man, this Ansari, can they place this coffin with him so he can give it to his wife? And then they did this in the evening. This mentioned that this person saw again the same group of ladies, and his wife was again amongst these ladies wearing the coffin that was presented, it was sent to her. Is advised by Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So we can imagine that in this qissa, even though there is discussion regarding according to Imam Suyuti, the sanad is authentic. But the lesson we learn from it is when we deal with our deceased, it shouldn't be just get done quickly with it and carry on with it. We should take special care with our deceased, because as we mentioned previously in this book, that he mentioned that when a person passes away, the ruh of the person is in the gathering in the room where the ghusl is taking place, helped by the malaika. So he sees how that person is being treated. And that's why when we make the ghusl, when we make the kafan of the deceased, we should take special care in how we wash. We shouldn't speak about the body of the deceased. We shouldn't make fun about the deceased. We should shroud him in the most beautiful manner, put in beautiful fragrance and perfume, according to how Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam has taught us. And then also we end with the hadith of Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam, where Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam says that إن الميت إذا وضع في لحده أتاه أهله وولده فسألوه عمن خلف بعده كيف فعل فلان وما فعل فلان. It is narrated that when the deceased person is placed in his grave, from his family that passed away before him, from his children that passed away before him, they come to him and they ask him regarding those people they left behind. What is this one doing? What is this one doing? So they want the report of the people that is left behind in this dunya. In the last hadith of Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam, إِنَّ الرَّجُلَ لَيُبَشِّرُ بِالصَّلَاحِ وَلَدِهِ بِقَبْرِهِ, that a father in his grave will receive glad tidings regarding the righteousness of his son who is alive. So when the father is passed on, he has left behind children who is righteous, that father will receive the news of the righteousness of the child. He will be mentioned that your son and so he has achieved this. He makes so much dua for you. All of the righteous deeds that he does, and we can imagine the amount of happiness it brings to the ruh of the deceased father or parent. So we make dua, my beloved brothers, sisters, and Islam. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us of those who, when we handle our deceased, let us do it in the most beautiful manner. when we coffin our deceased, let us coffin them in the most beautiful form, so that one day when they leave this dunya, or when they are amongst the arwah, then there shouldn't be the feeling of shyness in my family didn't be coffin properly. And when they in the grave, our parents, whoever is put in the grave, and those who will be left behind, the children or the brothers, that we act in a manner that is pleasing to Allah firstly, and then when our parents receive a glad tidings, or where they are given a report of how the children are, that it be good reports, that they be, what you call it, that they receive glad tidings, that the children are righteous followers of belief, it is pleasing to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We ask Allah to give us complete understanding. Wa akhir, alhamdulillah. Subhanallah.